Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Well, let's get started on today's Inspire podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to be with you. Hope everybody had just a wonderful weekend. And today we have two amazing guests, two really close friends of ours in the business, and I can't wait to get started catching up with them and having you learn more about their backgrounds and kind of where they've been and where they're going. But before I do that, I want to just cover a couple of topics. First of all, I want to thank everybody for praying for Brianna Kozlowski. As I mentioned last week and sent out an email, our partner at LifeSmart, Richard Kozlowski, and his wife Victoria's daughter, 17-year-old daughter, had a tragic accident on a golf cart on July 1st. And she is still in a coma, still fighting for her life, still just giving it all she has. And so on behalf of Rich and Victoria, I want to pass on that I appreciate your prayers and your thoughts. And I would just ask for you to continue to do so. Continue to pray, continue to really lift them up in your thoughts and your prayers, because it has been certainly a difficult season for them. And first of all, I believe in the power of prayer and believe that there is hope in that, and so that is something that they need desperately at this moment. So please continue to think about Brianna and their family. She is, as I said, still in a coma. Had some ups and downs, and it's certainly a tough road for them. So thank you again for your thoughts and prayers there, and please don't stop, for sure. Second of all, I want to say with everything that's going around with COVID, we all went through a lot of different times with shutting down the offices, working remote, then coming back, and then continuing to just go through this. And as you see, the numbers spike and continue to rise in various parts of the country. They've improved in a lot of parts of the country, and they've really gotten worse in a lot of other parts of the country. I just ask you to also keep everyone in their thoughts and prayers for that, and really just do your part in really practicing great social distancing, washing your hands thoroughly and often, not touching your hands not touching your face and mouth with your hands, and then just really maintaining that social distancing and wearing your mask. Also, if you suspect that you have COVID and you've gotten tested, please stay home. Please work with, or if you're sick at all, please talk to your manager. Please stay home. Work remote again. Whatever you need to do so that we limit the spread, certainly in our various offices. And so I'd really ask for you to to really do your part, as we all try to do our part on during this time, for sure. So, and continue to, like I said, keep people in their thoughts and prayers when it comes to everybody who's being affected through that time. And with all of the COVID stuff, as you guys know, non-essential large group travel restrictions are in place in many areas. In-person meetings and conferences for agents and agencies are difficult at this time. And as you all know, the Medicare Annual Enrollment Period, or AEP, is coming up on us. It starts in the fall. It is one of the largest times for us as a business for our revenue coming in, and it's the most important season for our business, and it's just a critical time for our success And with all the travel restrictions, and usually we bring together agents, we're having a lot of meetings, we're doing a lot of different exciting things, meeting with carriers. But with all the restrictions that are happening, we have decided to lead from the front and try to have a online conference exclusively for our agents and agencies who market Medicare products. And we're going to be calling this Medicare Live, and it will be held on Monday, July 27th, and feature some incredible sessions. In fact, we've been working on this for months, and our team, we've got a whole team that's been working on this and have just an incredible plan in place for this. And I'll tell you, even if you're not in the Medicare world, if you want to learn more about Medicare, learn more about the leaders on our platform that are in the Medicare space, this will be a great thing for you to participate in. And so I really want to encourage you to do that. But we're going to be highlighting a lot of our leaders here at Integrity. There's going to be a keynote discussion and a panel that include myself and other top leaders here at Integrity, including a lot of our carrier partners. There will also be two different topic tracks for people to choose from to participate in, one for agents and another one for agencies. We'll be covering a wide variety of topics, including Medicare 101 and just kind of the basics of Medicare, how to manage client relationships, agent and agency differentiation, how to recruit agents effectively, and many more exciting areas on that. And I'm so excited about this Medicare Live, and I think it'll greatly enhance Integrity's already strong brand in the industry, and really our leadership of highlighting all the different brands that are partners with Integrity. And we need each one of you to get the word out to our agents and agency partners. We're going to be providing you some information on this. We're going to be promoting this on social media accounts, and we ask for you to please like and share these posts to help spread the word and drive event registrations. Thanks in advance for your support on this. This is one of those things that I think will be one of those, as we move past this season, and this season will pass at some point. I just have a lot of belief in that. This, I think, will be one of those things that we'll continue to do for many years to come, is still have the in-person meetings, but also supplement it with great events like this. And we're spending a lot of money, a lot of resources. We've got our best people on this, and I think you guys will all really benefit from it. So please like and share and get the word out. We do think this will be a great way for us to continue to highlight our leaders, our innovators, and our thought leaders here in the industry today. And speaking of thought leaders, today we're joined by two people who have been strong leaders in the industry for many years, and now they are both part of the Integrity family. As you know, a few weeks ago we announced the partnership with McNerney Management Group, who joined the Integrity family a few short weeks ago. And we've already heard from my good buddy, Dan McNerney, the founder of McNerney Management Group, on a prior podcast. But now we get to hear from JoAnn Wray and David McNerney, who also are two of the partners at McNerney Management Group and who manage the divisions within McNerney Management Group. JoAnn is the president of Senior Marketing Specialist, McNerney Management Group's independent agent brokerage division that supports over 10,000 agents. Her and her team have just led the industry in so many incredible ways. She's also one of the most amazing leaders in the business, and another fabulous woman leader here at Integrity as we continue to highlight just the incredible women leaders that we have. And I'm so excited to have JoAnn join us. And we also have David McNerney, who is Dan McNerney's brother. And David is the president of Senior Benefit Services, which is McNerney Management Group's career agent division that has really set the standard on career agency distribution and performance. And combined, these two divisions at McNerney Management Group expect to produce over $180 million of annualized premium in 2020 while serving the needs of over 82,000 Americans. And on a personal note, this partnership has really been a dream come true for me and many of my other partners. And JoAnn and David are two of my favorite people in the business, and I can't wait for you to get to know them better as well. So, David and JoAnn, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the podcast. This is it's kind of surreal for me that we're getting to do this because we've been working on this for so long. So, thank you guys.
Well, thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It's an honor to be here.
Well, we've literally been working on this for a long time. In fact, David McNerney, I was with you the night that we partnered with Steve Young and HGTC.
Right.
We were in Ireland on an event, and I remember you were the first person outside of my wife. You were the first person I came out and told about what we had just done and our plans to kind of grow integrity in the future. And it was 4 years ago, almost to the day, that we sat down and had a beer and talked about this. And I remember you sitting there going, "Oh," you looked at me like, "Yeah, okay." You are from the show me state, so you got to show me.
Right. It was definitely. I was in a fog that day for sure. I knew something big was happening. I just wasn't sure how to understand it at that point.
Well, we're still trying to figure it out ourselves, and it's a lot of fun to have you guys helping us figure that out. So, JoAnn, I know you've worked for McNerney Management Group for your entire career. You got started there really young, and have really just transformed that organization. And I can't even imagine between you, David, Bobby, and of course Dan. You guys have always just been an amazing group that have just always led with such, incredible integrity. But I'd love to hear more about how you got into business and what's kept you motivated over all these years.
But sure, I'll start if you don't mind. David, I'll jump in. And first of all, Brian, I just wanted to say again, thank you. I've listened, I think, to almost every single one of these podcasts of the people that I admire and respect and cherish most in this industry. And to now be on this side of the phone is humbling, a little nervous for us to share our story. I feel so humbled and inspired by everybody that you've had on, and just hope that sharing my story is going to be as interesting as so many of the ones that I've listened to in the past. But I grew up, very traditional childhood. It's so funny. So Kendall and I did not talk about a song. I emailed her yesterday. She was off last week, and I was off last week. We did not talk about a song. I just emailed her last night saying David and I couldn't come up with anything that we thought was fitting for us to come on with. And the song that she sang this morning, Kendall, you're going to love my story when you hear this, because I have not shared this with you, but I grew up on a farm, so the song that you sang this morning literally hit so many parts of my growing up. But grew up a very traditional childhood on a farm in southern Iowa, and I think now, looking back, it was certainly the best way to grow up, and the best childhood possible is to grow up on a farm. At the time, I can tell you it was just torture is how I looked at it. I had I would be spending my Saturdays as a teenager and a young preteen, sorting hogs and chasing cattle and going to the vet with some animal with my dad. And meanwhile, my friends are, laying out at the pool and going to the mall and riding bikes with their boyfriends. And so I certainly thought at the time it was pure torture, and what a terrible, punishment I was of growing up on a farm. And, now looking back, couldn't have been a better childhood, couldn't have been a better way to grow up, couldn't have been more life lessons and hard work lessons, and watching my parents do what they did, I think probably instilled in me. I would have never admitted it at the time, I'm sure, but instilled in me every ounce of work ethic that I have today, and appreciation for other people, and appreciation for what we do in in this world and what we do, not just in our job, but as we take care of our neighbors and our friends and our community. And certainly got all of that from my parents. But I always knew that I wanted to leave the farm. I always knew that I wanted to be in business. I wanted to work in an office of some kind. My mom was a high school business teacher, and so I got to spend a lot of my time in the summers going with her. She led a program called Office Ed Association. I think they have similar programs now, DECA and some of those that they have now. But she would work with her sophomore and junior and senior and high school students that were taking her business classes and sign up for this program, and she would place them in jobs throughout town. And she would give them, doctor's offices, lawyers' offices, probably insurance agency offices, any business in town that was willing to hire and train, these young business students. And each summer I would get to go with her, and every week we would visit a different office, and she would check in with her students and just see how their job was going and how they liked it and what they were doing, and check in with the employer on how the student was doing and what they needed and was this student performing, and learn a little bit about the business. And I think that's where I got the bug of loving every single thing about being in an office. Back then it was typewriters and computers just getting into the industry, copy machines. I remember coming home, with purple hands and purple all over my clothes. For those of you on the line old enough to remember the old copy machines where you had to add the big drum and you would always get it all over your hands. And so those types of things of seeing my mom in all these different businesses and all the different kinds of offices out there certainly led to my desire to be in some kind of an office. Again, I never dreamt of insurance, but it certainly has been a dream come true for me. So I went to college in Kirksville, Missouri. I was Northeast Missouri State at the time. It's now Truman State University. Met my husband there. We got married. He was a football player at Northeast. He had gotten a job offer to move to Columbia after we both graduated college. And Columbia was where we had kind of both set our sights on. We both grew up, and I grew up in a rural, like I said. He grew up in a small town. So we thought Columbia was like it. It was like the big city, right? And so we couldn't wait to start our career in the big city. And so when he got an opportunity to got a job offer to go there, I was working still at the real estate office that I had worked part-time all through college. And one Thursday morning, I'm sitting there at the real estate office, and a gentleman by the name of Dan McNerney, who I'd never met before, never heard of, walked into the real estate office that I was working at and said, hi, I'm Dan McNerney. My wife and I, Julie, are wanting to list our house because we're moving our business to Columbia, Missouri. And the real estate office, or the officer that was on duty that day, looked over at me and she's like, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. So she said to Dan, well, we've got this young lady over here that just graduated from Northeast and is getting ready to move to Columbia. Are you hiring? And he said, well, as a matter of fact, we are. And so he came over and I shook his hand and gave me his business card and gave me the phone number of the person that was doing the hiring. And we set up an interview. And I think I had to, telling me today, I think I had to borrow money to put gas in my car to drive to Columbia for the job interview.
Wow.
And met Dan that day, and the gentleman by the name of Bob Brown that eventually hired me. Soon after, met Bobby and David, of course. And, again, watching my mom go into all these different businesses and types of offices, the one thing that always stood out to me and what she, commented on is not the type of industry or the type of business or even your job title, but the type of people. Right? You want to walk into a company or to an office or to a building where you feel something. And I walked in the office that day. The building was under construction because they were adding on to the building and it wasn't done yet. And I knew that I felt something. I felt like these are good people. They seem like they're really going places. I'll go ahead and take this job so that my husband and I can move to Columbia. We can get our family started. And then, eventually down the road, I'll figure out what I really want to do with my life. And that was literally 30 years ago. I have never looked back. I've never regretted that day and always feel that, talk about being in the right place at the right time, right? And so that day was one of those that I'm sure to them I was just another person, walking in the door to apply for a job. But for me, that day meant everything. That's the day that, next to choosing my husband, that was the second best choice, I've ever made. And both of those decisions have just been the best decisions that I've ever made and have led to the family that I have, both at home and here at work, of growing both of those families. So we started off as a career organization, which David will tell you all about the beginning days of those, even before I came along, and just doing a little bit of everything. I processed contracts. I did commissions. I did contracting. Did just a variety of jobs helping Dan get things off the ground in Columbia. And then it was about 1994, I believe. I've been there a couple of years. And a gentleman by the name of Peter Nauert, who many of you on this line listening, that name will mean something to you. A lot of us, he's kind of the Kevin Bacon, if you will, of the insurance industry. All paths kind of lead back to Peter Nauert for so many people. But Peter had called Dan and I think 6 or 7 others that were running agencies across the country at a regional level. By then, I think we had agents in a couple of states. And offered this thing called an FMO distribution. And to the senior market, I'm sure other markets had already had similar types of distribution, but to the senior and the Medicare space, this FMO distribution model was something fairly new. And so he kind of led the trail with that, as he did with so many things in the industry. And Dan said, "Hey, you want to try to build this with me?" And so we went and visited a couple of other offices that were doing something similar. We tried to learn as much as we could. We knew we need to hire somebody to work on this specific division of senior marketing specialists when it was born, and we didn't know how successful it was going to be. We didn't know if we were going to need a lot of people, or how do you hire for that, right? If you don't even know how many hours, I don't even know what I would have hired somebody to do. And Dan one day said, "Well, I think Mother might be able to come in and help. Do you want me to ask her?" So we hired Mother, and Donna McNerney came in to do part-time, stuff and kits and processing contracts and getting stuff out in the mail and working on mailers, when we were still taking the sticky labels and putting our return address in the top left and putting the agent's address in the middle. And we'd each take those home, and our kids would work on those over the years. So certainly, owe a lot to Donna McNerney and the entire McNerney family for my start in this business, and to watch now, to look back, and it's just so fun thinking about the beginning days and how ridiculously simple some things were that that we thought were so complicated, and some of the basic things, the blocking and the tackling, we still do today. It's much more sophisticated. There's many more intelligent and creative and wonderful, awesome people here that do all the jobs. But we're basically still what we're doing. We're finding agents that want to hear our story. We're finding agents that need support and service and want to make an impact with their customers and in their community, and we support them in every way possible. And so the basics are definitely the same, but how we've gotten to where we've gotten to, for me, again, like I said, next to raising my kids, is certainly the thing that I'm the most proud of in this world of watching this company that we've been a part of for 30 years now, and watching the growth and watching the people that have come into this industry and have done so well because of this company. And to me, that's again, just a super proud moment. So.
Wow. Well, that is amazing. I love that story about how you grew up on a farm and how you saw these businesses, right? You saw these businesses that all these different businesses. And I agree. I mean, I think everything we're doing here and I think every business is really very similar. In fact, I've got a whole deal that I talk about how business is really like an agrarian model, or kind of like a farm, right? And it's very basic and true, and there's kind of this natural order of things. And I just love the fact that you kind of talked about that. But the one thing, I know you were talking about the cool things you and your mom were seeing the offices. I thought you were probably going to say they all had air conditioning, and because of that, you wanted to be in the air conditioning. Which maybe it's because I live in Texas and it's like 120 degrees right now here. But air conditioning would have also been right there on the top of my list.
Yeah, I didn't share that part, but yeah, there's many parts about growing up on a farm, and we didn't have air conditioning. It's not like we were, poor or desolate. It's just you didn't need air conditioning when you lived in the country.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much back then. I mean, my dad could do wonders with a fan in the window, right? And we were outside doing everything other than sleeping. We ate our meals outside. Everybody thinks it's so cool to eat outside or have a picnic, or you got to find the right temperature and the right setting and all of this to eat outside. I grew up eating outside all summer, and to me that's, it's always still such a fun treat for me to think about those days of the things that you had to do. My kids, we raised them in Columbia and kind of raised them as city kids, but their very, very best memories of their entire childhood were going to my parents' farm and doing all the things that I looked at as chores when I was growing up. To them, it was better than Disney World. I mean, you could ask any one of the three of them today, their favorite memory was at Disney World or going to my parents' farm. Guarantee you they would say going to the farm and doing all the simple things and the fun things that, again, when I had to be there doing them, seemed like chores. To them, it was the greatest thing on earth to be able to, eat outside and have a bonfire and ride in the back of a truck and help Grandma with the garden and all the fun stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities, like you said, between raising a farm and raising a business. And air conditioning is definitely one of the better parts of the business side of it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, David, that's hard to follow, but man, so as JoAnn just talked about, I mean, this has been a family business from the beginning, right? I mean, your mom worked in the business, your dad worked in the business. I remember meeting your dad one time in probably 05 or 06. I was up there and met both your parents working in the business, and certainly you and your brother, and then you've got kids in the business. Both you and Dan have kids in the business, and now daughter-in-laws. I know your daughter-in-law even works in the business. So, man, this has been a family business from the beginning, and it's just been I mean, your family is just synonymous with insurance, especially up in Missouri. What was it like growing up in the business and having Dan as your older brother and all of that?
Yeah. Let me try to address some of that. Certainly, family truly is everything to me, and really, I believe that that's one of the things that attracted us to the Integrity Partnership, is seeing that being one of the core values and just having that feeling. I mean, honestly, being able to listen in on these Inspire podcasts and getting to know the different partners in such a intimate manner, and knowing the backgrounds and the struggles that many have had, it's definitely carries on that family feeling. So, first of all, let me start off just by, again, saying thank you, echoing a few of the things JoAnn has said, but thank you for having us on the Inspire podcast. These have been tremendously helpful for me as we went through the decision process, and again, just got to know and reintroduce, but got to know some of the partners that I have not known through the years. But besides thank you for being on the podcast, just thank you for the opportunity to join the amazing Integrity family. As you mentioned, it's really been about a 4-year process for us, and we would not be here if not for yourself, Mike, Tom, and Mike White, and AC, and Tony, Hunter, others that we were able to talk with through the process. And I can just say, hands down, without your all's guidance and leadership and friendship, we would not be where we are today. So I can't go without saying thank you again on that. And it really is humbling. I was sitting here this morning looking at the Integrity team page and just flipping through the different pictures and the bios on each platform partner, and it's overwhelming in a way, but in a good way. It's overwhelming, but quite humbling to be a part of that group now. So So yeah, as you mentioned, family really is everything to me. I've got, I followed Dan into the business. I followed my father into the business. I kind of hit on a quick background of myself. It won't be quite as glamorous as JoAnn's even, but I was that guy. When I listen to some of the podcasts, one of the echoing themes I hear sometimes is that, insurance wasn't the first option in their lives. And so I'm going to be that weird guy that you're going to remember that actually, I think I wanted to be in the insurance business from about the age of 15 on. So I don't know what that says about me. I don't know what that says about my young life.
You're smart.
How glamorous that was. No,
you're smart. You wanted to get into it early.
But I think just I also was raised in a small rural community and had watched my father and brother and sister. And I participated some in the family businesses that Dan has mentioned in the past, the service station, the restaurant business, and some of the things that Dan and I remember. He and I detailed cars for a living for some time. I was able to help in his detail shop as I was growing up, anything to make a buck, and it was all about watching that hard work and watching that, how that paid off for my family. But as my father entered the business and as Dan entered the business, I was young. I was 15, 16, 17 years old when that took place. And I just saw them having fun and acquiring what they wanted to acquire, making a nice living. There were other insurance executives in our small town. I grew up in a town of 9,000 people, and seeing how their lifestyle and how they lived and how they were able to give back to their community, it was all very, very important to me, and it was just a path that I chose. So from the time of about 15 to 18, I literally was trying to figure out how to get into the business earlier. I'm not sure, but I may have taken my insurance test on my 18th birthday, so I didn't let any grass grow underneath of me. Prior to taking my insurance test, I'd had a couple of, I just call them retail jobs. We had a couple of small retail stores in town. I spent many a summers driving a tractor, cultivating beans. So definitely grew up with that rural work ethic. And most of you know from Dan's podcast that our family had rodeoed and had always been in the horse business and cattle and hogs and just a little bit of everything. So again, I was so blessed, I think, to just have that work ethic instilled within me at a very young age. There was never any sitting still around our house. I mean, I was watching them work, we were working, or when Dad got home, he was choring, he was taking care of livestock, or he was loading the trailer so that Diane could be headed on the road to a rodeo somewhere. So it was just nonstop action, nonstop work. But it was just expected. I mean, my sister, as I watched her work through her entire life in the nursing industry for 40 some years. And so again, we were just blessed as a family to have that work ethic instilled. I've always, from the time I was 18 years old, been in the senior market. I've literally spent my entire life with this company. I've spent my entire life with Dan McNerney, Bobby Richardson, JoAnn Wray, my father. I've just never known anything different. I was actually re-listening some podcasts this morning early, and I was listening to Tom Sheets' podcast, and it's just so inspiring to hear that story about him getting stuck out on the road. But it brought back some memories of my own, because I definitely know what it's like to work. We did not have any leads. There was no lead program back then. It was a matter of going into an area and literally splitting up a map. We'd go to the courthouse, get a map, or go where we could get the nearest city map, split the town into quadrants, and that was your lead program. You were responsible to go cold canvas that quarter of that particular town. And that's, the first high-tech lead system that I remember ever working was direct mail leads, and we did those ourselves. I can remember many a weekend sitting on our living room floor, hand addressing hundreds, if not thousands, of mail pieces, putting a first-class stamp on those. And since we put the first-class stamp on them, you could actually write a handwritten message Bessie, this is good insurance. Be sure and look this over. So that was our first high-tech lead system. But so I won't
probably
go
the
much
most
longer.
effective. Probably the most effective too.
It was a very exciting after cold calling for 5 or 6 years for sure. Let's see. It's certainly, I'd say, been an amazing business for me, and also amazing to make this journey with my family. As you mentioned, I've got 2 sons in the business, a nephew, 2 nieces, a daughter-in-law. So I've always been able to work with family, and sometimes people think that's a blessing. Sometimes it can be a curse. Sometimes, but it's always been a blessing for our family. I certainly, as JoAnn has said, none of us would be where we're at without Dan's leadership, Dan McNerney, and his leadership throughout the years. But one thing I was going to mention is just simple self-affirmation that I've used for years and years, that I learned at a very young age, probably 18, when I first started in the business, from a very simple book, Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman in the World. But I've carried this with me, and it's so simple, but I still use it to this day, and that's, I will persist until I succeed. And I can remember many a days as an 18-year-old out there beating on doors, repeating that out loud, looking at myself in the rearview mirror, knowing I needed to get to that next door, knowing I needed to get to that next client. But, I will persist until I succeed. And it's just a simple but effective tool that I've used through the years. But that's a high-speed version of kind of where I've come from and, where I'm at today.
Man, I love that. I will persist until I succeed. That is such a powerful truth that I know a lot of us need, especially, just with all the different stuff that's going on in the world today, but also with salespeople. I remember getting started as an agent in college and just going, how do people do this? Like, everybody is like telling me no, and they're not happy to meet with you. And then all of a sudden you meet that one person, they just give you that hope. It's like playing golf. I hate golf. I suck at golf. But when you have that one shot, you go, man, maybe I should do this more often, right? And there's just so much truth to that. One of the things that also just jumped out at me is I grew up in a town there were 2,244 people there when I grew up. Now it's over, I think it's around 1,800 people. You said you grew up in a really small town, David, and JoAnn, you grew up on a really small town in the farm, in a small town. And JoAnn, you talked about moving to the big city. Some of the things that's amazing to me is when you just reflect back, when you just take a moment. I don't think we do this very often, but you think about how many people you guys help with their life and health insurance protection needs. And this year alone, you talked about moving to the big city of Columbia. I just looked it up. Columbia has a population of about 120,000 people. This year alone, McNerney Management Group will help almost that many people with protecting their life insurance and health insurance needs. And over the last 20 some odd years, you guys have helped a huge number in addition to that. And you start thinking about just the impact that you guys have and have had, and your families have had in the business, and how many people won't ever know you really had anything to do with it. But because you chose this as a profession, and just the people that are going to be impacted about that, that's something that for me, as I take a step back, a lot of times I think about, wow, like this is some powerful stuff that we're doing, and I put that in perspective. Growing up in a town 2,000 people in West Texas, and now we've got about 6 million people who have their life and health insurance policies with us and need our coverage. And frankly, there's 6 million more that need our coverage, and a lot more than that, frankly, that we need to get out there and help. And that's always been a passion of mine, and I think that I will persist until I succeed is just such a powerful message of hope, of going, man, let's do whatever it takes to help people get the coverage that you guys need. And so as you guys have joined Integrity, how do you think, I mean, some of the stuff that we try to do is we try to take some of the burden off of people so you can focus on how do you help more people, right? How do you recruit more agents? How do you serve more agents? How do you help them serve more clients and help those people get the coverage that they need? So just quickly, what is y'all's thoughts about some of the things that you're excited about, about some of the things that Integrity offers that you think will benefit your organizations?
Yeah, I'll jump in there, Brian. And first of all, yeah, that's a pretty neat comparison. I had never thought about the numbers as far as the impact, and I think that's exactly what it's all about. That would be my answer. Is we just want to make an impact in as many people's lives as we can. It starts with our staff, the current staff that we have, and continue to grow that staff and continue to enrich and inspire and enable these people to continue on doing what they do and doing what they love and bringing them into this industry. And they're bringing more and more people into this industry, into this company. And second of all, to our agents, both on brokerage and career side, our job, our goal in life is, this company's, is to make these agents that we touch in any way, shape, or form the very best advisors that they can possibly be. We use that term a lot so that they're considered an advisor. They are considered one of the most important pieces of anybody's financial or health picture. When you sit down to look at both of those sides of it, having the best insurance advisor is such an important piece of that entire puzzle, and that's our job. We do we're kind of known in the industry for our teaching and our training, and that's a huge part of our secret sauce, if you will, or the reason that keeps us going is to continue to find more and more agents to become the very best advisors. And then lastly is the ultimate client that we all serve, which is that senior client. The ability to impact, like you said, the numbers on a daily, on a yearly basis, and then you add that up over all the years that we've been involved in this. That's a lot of people that, as you always say, Brian, when they come to that day of that terrible decision that they need to make or that life event that they're faced with handling, knowing that somewhere along the line the right advisor helped them make the right choice for them is something that I don't think we could ever know the full impact of. We tell our staff all the time that unfortunately in so many cases they're helping agents make decisions and advise clients that they'll never know the full benefit of, and that's okay. We don't need to, but just hearing a story every now and then about how an agent was impacted by the advice or the product or the meeting or the service or whatever that we provided for them, that they were able to help that client in their time of need is, again, I think something that we don't stress enough in this industry of what we're doing for all of them. And so being on the Integrity platform just allows us to do all of those things, but at a much more lightning speed. We can bring on more people. We can bring on more of these phenomenal, young, beautifully talented and creative and super smart people that work here. We want more and more and more of them to be able to have more of an impact on agents so that we can have more and more agents having an impact on as many clients as possible out there. The beauty of our industry, and I think before March, if anybody in this phone call or anybody in this industry took our industry for granted, I bet you after March they don't anymore, because we certainly all saw our friends and neighbors and other families and other industries go through things that we didn't have to go through. We were inconvenienced a lot since March, but our business model did not have to change. The way we help people, the way we find them maybe changed a little bit, but the impact that we can still have on so many clients' lives has not changed. In fact, it's gone up. And so for us as a company, when we walk through these doors every morning, to think about, to not have to think about all of the things that build a business outside of the people, to let Integrity kind of take some of the heavy lifting off of that for us, or work with our current folks. That's the beauty of this, is we've got so many people already and that are so talented in technology and compliance and marketing and HR and all the things that we already provide, to now have even a better ally for us to use, or a better system for our people to continue to use, is something that, again, it's just going to take everything that we were doing anyway and completely puts us on the fast track of being able to do more of what we really want to do, which is helping those agents and our staff and our senior clients, and not be worried about as much of finding the right CRM or finding the right whatever system that we can rely on each other and rely on integrity to do that. It's truly been a dream come true for us.
That's great. That's great. Well, I think just like what we're talking about, and that's part of the idea, is if we can come in and share ideas, share resources, share share best practices, take some of that heavy lifting off. That's kind of this idea of Medicare Live that we're going to be doing here at the end of the month. One of the great things about integrity is we all get in a room when we're able to, and maybe it's a virtual room, but we get together and we say, hey, here's some ideas. Here's what we're doing. Here's what you guys are doing. Let's all try to do this more effectively, and then we share that with all of the agents and try to help them even be more successful. And I think at the end of the day, if we all keep this goal in mind of that our purpose is to help Americans plan for one of these life events. And to your point is if people took our products for granted before, I don't think that they are today, because it's such an important reminder that their health is in danger and they need great health insurance, or their life has that there's not a big price you can put on life insurance at this stage, because we're all reminded that we're all mortal, right? And the opportunity to take care of our families is so important. That's why I think our life insurance business has been just so robust during this time. And I think that as long as we keep that pure vision as a platform, and we're all coming together to support each other, there's no limit to how many people we can serve. And that's why I'm so excited about Medicare Live and some of the other things that we're working on, because when you do that and you put resources behind them, you have this saying that some people are calling the integrity effect, right? This integrity effect of whereas you come together, you create this synergy, which 1 + 1 = more than 2, and that's been a lot of our vision from day one. We're talking about taking day-to-day pressure off of our partners so they can focus on what they do best. And so David, how are you feeling about the overall integrity partnership and just kind of your future? This has been a family business of yours for so long. You grew up in the business. You couldn't wait to get in the business. How do you feel about kind of where we're going as integrity and McNerney's place in that?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the platform itself and how it will benefit us and how I'm feeling amazed. I mean, I'm honestly, it's a fun emotion to be having, but quite honestly, we're already having the integrity effect. I mean, we're on the platform less than a month, right? I've lost track of the date, but it's July 13th. I can't remember when we announced, but I think it's less than a month ago, and we're already on calls during the onboarding process. I mean, I couldn't be more amazed and just tickled with how that process is happening. And I'm sure I'll probably get in trouble for mentioning names, but I just think it's so important. Harsh and Steve on the IT team, Jessica, Ann, Kristen, Casey on Thomas Art's team. I mean, the way we've been able to connect so quickly, and there are projects happening in our background right now as we speak that could have a tremendous effect on our AEP and on our sales results over these next few months. So it's just been amazing. I don't really know how else to say it. That's not even to mention some of the collaboration that you just talked about. I'm honestly worried that we're becoming a bit of a pest, because I know we've been on calls the last 2 to 3 weeks with Vinay at American Senior Benefits, and been able to reach out to folks the way that they've been able to just openly share what's working, what's not working in their organization. Those calls have just simply been tremendous. And what I see happening with the integrity effect is quite simply, it allows us as leaders to get back to what we enjoy doing and what we do best, and that's build our businesses. our business is relatively simple. It's hiring, training, and retaining agents. And at the end of the day, that benefits the senior, as JoAnn alluded to. But I'm seeing our partners and I'm seeing ourselves already just a short month in starting to have fun again, not getting bogged down. There's always that old 80-20 rule out there where it's easy to get bogged down with 80% of your time getting sucked up with the stuff in business, the stuff that you just have to take care of to keep the doors open. Now we've been able to flip-flop that to where I believe now and in the short future ahead of us that we'll be able to spend 80% of our time doing what we enjoy, and that's building this business and building this partnership and building integrity, and only 20% of our time on the stuff. So just couldn't be more thrilled with where we're at, and certainly we're very, very blessed to have a fantastic team behind us. It's certainly not just JoAnn and I by any means, and I know we've mentioned that some, but Dan Mangus, Clint, Chris, Kylie, Mary, Amy, Krista, all of our area sales directors, our organization would not be able to thrive and move forward without that group of people. And now with the integrity effect being in those folks' back pocket, it's going to be a tremendous ride. I'm just looking forward to not only these next few months, but certainly the next several years to see where we take this thing.
Man, David, first of all, you're so on point. I couldn't agree more with you. And by the way, y'all do have just a spectacular team. And I love the fact that you gave people individual shout outs. But I mean, this partnership, I just agree so much. And that's what gets me so excited every morning is just the potential that we all have to do so much good for people. And that idea of we will persist until we succeed is such a true statement. So thank you so much for you and JoAnn. Thanks for being just two of the best people in the industry. Thanks for being just such great friends, for always being there for me and Robin and our family. But and always, it's always just a joy. Anytime we're ever at an event, I know we seek you guys out because we just love being around y'all. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys being on today, and thanks for all y'all do at McNerney Management Group. And let's keep persisting until we succeed in just this idea, right? This idea of being able to help more people. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I knew we would run over time a little bit today, and it was worth it. It's always worth it when you have an opportunity to bring on just two of the best leaders in our business. And if there was a Hall of Fame in the insurance business, both JoAnn Wray would be on that Wall of Fame or Hall of Fame for sure. And every day we have on this Inspire podcast, we recognize a Inspire 100 winner, somebody who just continues to go above and beyond, and is nominated by one of their teammates to win a $100 Amazon gift card as recognition of just continuing to just serve others so well. And so today I want to recognize Miss Lisa Rogers from AIMC. She was nominated by one of her teammates who said, Lisa Rogers has been one of the most inspiring role models since I joined Integrity last year. When I started my job, I felt anxious about things I was learning and that did not naturally come to me. But Lisa could tell I was struggling, and she was always able to break things down and help me break through that. Lisa's always been on top of what needs to be done to keep workflow in motion. She does well under fire and helps me do my job better. She's also given me great advice in areas outside of work. So thank you, Lisa. Congratulations on winning the Inspire 100 today. Really appreciate that. The other thing is if anybody has anybody you want to recognize for an Inspire 100, please send that to inspire@integritymarketing.com. We have another great Inspire podcast. Next week we'll be bringing to you guys, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I will say you do not want to miss next week. So it's going to be a great one. And I really hope everybody has a really incredible week. Just a reminder, let's all do our part in doing everything we can to stop the spread of coronavirus and COVID in our offices and just being respectful around everyone. Hope everybody has a wonderful day. David and JoAnn, thank you so much. That was so much fun to just visit with both of you guys today. So hope you guys have a wonderful week as well. Thanks for blessing all of us today. God bless everybody.